If I asked you how many kinds of animals are alive on Earth right now, you'd probably think science has that mostly figured out. We don't. Not even close. The biggest blank space isn't out in space, it's underwater. You learned the tree of life in a classroom. A few kingdoms, a neat set of branches, every living thing with a place to sit. Nobody mentioned the tree isn't finished. Almost every missing piece is at the bottom of the ocean, in water that has never seen the sun. And this year, one of those pieces came up in a net and didn't fit the tree at all. We're going down to it, one level at a time. Number 9. Somewhere in the cold water of the North Atlantic right now, there is a shark that was alive before your country existed. The Greenland shark grows about 1 centimeter a year. It drifts through near-freezing black water so slowly you could outswim it at a walking pace. In 2016, researchers dated one using the lens of its eye. The number came back close to 400 years old. That shark was born around the time people were still being burned as witches. It didn't even reach breeding age until it was roughly 150.
Some of the sharks down there today watched that water for a century before the country you're sitting in was founded. They're still out there, and compared to what's below them, they're the normal ones. Number 8. The deep sea is dark. Not dim. Dark. No light reaches this far down, which means finding a mate is almost impossible. You could live your whole life and never cross paths with another of your kind. The anglerfish solved this. When a male finds a female, he bites her. Then he doesn't let go. His mouth fuses to her skin. Their blood vessels connect. Over the following weeks, his eyes dissolve, his fins dissolve, his organs dissolve. Everything that made him a separate animal is absorbed into her body until all that's left is a lump on her side that produces sperm on demand. He is no longer a fish. He is an organ. And a single female can carry as many as 8 of them at once, fused along her body, a row of former suitors reduced to equipment. It's the most committed relationship on Earth. The next thing down doesn't even bother with that rule. Number 7. Something enormous dies at the surface. A whale! It sinks, and it takes hours to reach the bottom. When it lands, it doesn't rot the way things rot on land. It gets colonized. Within months, the bones are wearing a pink shag carpet of worms. These worms have no mouth, no stomach, no gut at all. Instead, they grow green roots down into the bone, and inside those roots live bacteria that dissolve the skeleton and feed the worm from within. Scientists named them ocedocs, bone devourer. Here's the part that resets it. Every worm you can see on that whale is female. One whale can feed this for decades. Down here, the smartest thing you can do is wait for something huge to die. Everything below this line stopped waiting. Before we go any deeper, notice something. The shark, the anglerfish, the bone worms, every one of them is strange. But every one still fits somewhere on the family tree you were taught. Everything below this line stops bending the rules. It starts attacking them. Number 6. Everything you were ever taught about life came with one rule underneath it. Life needs the sun. Plants eat light, animals eat plants. The whole chain traces back to a star. In 1977, a submarine near the Galapagos found a place where that rule stops working. Cracks in the seafloor were leaking water heated by magma. 400 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, kept liquid only by the pressure crushing down on it. The water is black with dissolved metal and thick with poison. Nothing should be alive. Nothing is?
Worms 3 meters tall, packed around the vents in the millions. And those worms have no mouth and no gut either. Body is a sack of bacteria that turn the poison into food. An entire living world, thriving, that has never seen the sun and never needed it. Life on Earth has a backup plan. We just had to go to the bottom of the ocean to find it. Sunlight was supposed to be the one rule nothing could break. It just did. The next rule that breaks is a lot closer to home. Number 5. This year, scientists described a new deep-sea animal that should bother you more than it does. It's a tunicate, a sea squirt. Picture a small bag with 2 spouts glued to the sea floor. Harmless, except a sea squirt doesn't start life like that. It's born able to swim with a nerve cord and a simple brain, the same basic body plan your own spine grew out of. It is, very distantly, family. Then it finds a rock, presses its head down, and digests its own brain for energy. It spends the rest of its life as a stationary sack, filtering water. This new one, found in the deep dark where filtering isn't enough, went further. It turned its body into a trap and started catching prey. One of your oldest living relatives gave up its head to become a mouth. It spends its whole youth swimming, looking for the right place to settle down. The moment it finds one, it eats its own brain. Anyone who signed a 30-year mortgage understands the impulse. It gave up its brain to sit still. The next animal kept everything it had and grew a tool we can barely make in a lab. Number 4. In 2026, scientists did something unusual with a newly discovered deep-sea animal. They let the internet name it. 8,000 suggestions poured in within a week. People fell in love with it. Almost none of them knew what they were naming. It's a mollusk the size of a fingernail, found 3 miles down on a piece of sunken wood in a trench off Japan. It has a tongue. On that tongue sit rows of teeth capped in iron. Real magnetite, one of the hardest materials any animal grows, hard enough to rasp solid wood at the bottom of the sea. And along its own tail, it carries a colony of tiny worms that feed on its body while it's alive. 8,000 people voted on a name for an armored, iron-toothed animal that farms parasites on itself, and never read the fine print. Armored and strange, but at least it's still building a body. The next one just quietly does the saddest thing in the ocean. Number 3. 6,000 feet under the Galapagos, in water just above freezing, a camera found something small and blue, golf ball sized. A new species of octopus, described for the first time this year. We have sailed over that ocean for 500 years and only met this animal months ago. She was doing what deep-sea octopus mothers do, guarding eggs. Down there, that means something specific. She wraps herself around the clutch and stops eating. She doesn't leave. She doesn't feed. She fans clean water over the eggs and waits. One mother, recorded off California, held that exact position for 53 months, 4.5 years, the longest brood ever documented in any animal on Earth. She starves the entire time. By the time the eggs hatch, she is dead. The young drift away from a mother they never meet, past a body that spent 4 years keeping them alive. There's no joke on this one. She kept a whole species alive in the dark for half a decade, and we almost never knew she was there. Number 2. Up until now, everything we've looked at has been an animal, one strange creature at a time. But the real discovery down here isn't any single animal. It's what all of them are trying to tell us. We have clearer photographs of the far side of the moon than of the seabed 3 miles down. In just the last few years, one new generation of deep-sea robots pulled more than 250 new species out of a single region. Animals no one had ever recorded. So many at once that a process which normally takes years got compressed into a single week. And that's one region. The deep sea is the largest living space on the planet, and almost none of it has been seen by anything that reports back. Everything we found so far is the edge of the map. This last one is what happens when you fall off it. Number 1. Between Hawaii and Mexico, 13,000 feet down, there's a plain of mud called the Clarion-Clipperton Zone. In 2026, a team from the National Oceanography Center in Southampton sorted through what they'd hauled up from it. Most of it was new species. Down there, that's normal. Then 2 of the researchers, working separately, arrived at the same impossible answer. What they were holding wasn't a new species. It was a new superfamily, an entire branch of the animal kingdom no one had ever recorded. A group so distinct, it doesn't sit on any limb of the tree we've been drawing for 300 years. Not a new leaf, a new branch on a tree we thought we'd finished. 24 kinds of pale, shrimp-like animals, a centimeter long with cone-shaped mouths evolving in total darkness for millions of years, while we drew a map that left them off entirely. And that exact patch of seafloor, the one that just handed us a whole new branch of life, sits on top of one of the richest deposits of metal on the planet.
It's already been marked for mining. We may scrape those animals off the bottom of the ocean for the metal in the mud beneath them before we've even finished writing down what they are. That's the part I can't stop thinking about. We didn't discover a strange animal. We discovered that the map itself was unfinished.
Somewhere beneath 13,000 feet of water, an entire branch of life waited patiently in the dark while we taught generation after generation that we'd already drawn the tree. Maybe the most dangerous thing about a map isn't the places it leaves blank. It's how quickly we begin believing the blank spaces don't exist.